And welcome back to episode 32 of The Hunt. Today, you're joined by myself, Aiden Potts, and
Benny Roberts.
Benny Roberts. Mate, welcome back. Episode 32, we're hooking through these.
Yes, mate. It's good.
It's been good since we've had a room to actually do some stuff. But, mate, I want to kick things off today because obviously we're doing the technique assessments. We've had, 10 videos to go through, which is exciting. A few double ups with the people that want more help than just on one lift. Mm-hmm. But the whole point of this episode is to essentially go through everyone's videos that needs or asking for some advice. Now, this is the first time we've done this sort of content, and we're excited to obviously jump straight into it. There's a large range of lifters, people who have gone to Worlds, people who have just starting out and just need some advice, and we're happy to sit here and obviously talk all things technique. Mm-hmm. But before we get started, mate, how's your week been? What's been going on since our last episode?
Mate, yeah. I've had probably the biggest week of training of my life, so I'm feeling pretty fucked right now. Yeah. So I feel like I've been hit by the fatigue train. So, yeah, just trying to push through the rest of the week. Coaching and business, being busy as. So just keeping the ball rolling with all of that, with all the regular systems. But, yeah, training's been pretty hectic. I've double primary for squats and deadlifts on Monday, Tuesday. So the biggest chunk of my week is already done. So hence the fatigue wave that I'm feeling right now.
The grogginess, because you dead set look drunk.
Yeah. Nah, that's crazy.
And mate, you got a new piercing.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I got a new piercing.
Fuck, what are you turning into?
Huh?
What are you turning into?
What do you mean?
Piercings every week, mate.
Piercings every week.
It's been a month and you got 2 new piercings.
Yeah, I'm getting tattooed next.
So what do you got? What do you get done? Yeah.
Helix on my ear, mate.
Helix,
yeah. It's a bit fucking sore.
Yeah, because Stephen Day has one, you got one as well.
No, it's not the same, mate. Definitely not.
That's good. Well, mate, my back is torched. I did dumbbell rows for the first time last night in fucking ages, and my back is just wrecked.
Yeah.
But new program obviously started this week, which has been really, really good. 12 weeks out, so looking forward to that.
Feeling pain-free again?
Pain-free relatively. It's been going well because I'm not just trying to lift as heavy as I can, which does help. But the main thing that's been consuming my time at home is the fucking Paris Olympics, mate.
Oh, really?
The Paris Olympics. I'm fiending it. Yeah. And I wasn't really expecting to fiend it because, it kind of crept up on me and caught me by surprise.
Yeah, okay.
But I've been diving into every event with Dan Lee at every evening when we get home from the gym. We'll sit down, mate. We're watching the freestyle BMX last night, and holy fucking shit! If you guys haven't seen the freestyle BMX at the Olympics, it is something else.
Yeah.
But we were so invested and immersed, to the point where we were guessing the scores and getting within 1 to 2 points of the scores of what they were getting. We could pretty much be BMX judges, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're at that point now.
Yeah, right.
But
nice.
Mate, I want to do an Olympics recap because I love Australia, I really do, and I want to try and I wrote down some notes here for you and I to go over. Now I didn't want to tell you because I knew you'd tell me to get fucked because you don't watch the Olympics, do you?
Not really, no.
Because Wales, because if you guys don't know, Benny's born in Wales.
Yeah.
Are they even at the Olympics?
No, because the international representatives are for the Great Britain, right?
So they're not the Olympics, so he doesn't care. Right? If you're not Welsh, he doesn't want to hear about it. Oh. So today, mate, you're going to be an Aussie. All right, we're going to go over the medal tally. I've wrote down everything for you. Just have to read my phone, mate. But I've also got some costumes. If you can just excuse me for a second, mate. We need to put these on.
Holy fuck! You're a fucking.
You a fucking idiot. So let's get these on, mate. All right, just for this segment. You might want to watch your new piercing because I did just mention that.
Yeah, that's fucked, eh?
All right.
The fucking Zogs cap.
Yeah, I went to Kmart this morning and I tried to find a size that would fit you because I know you got a small head. But the main thing to understand, mate, is that these are anti-fog. So whilst you're reading out this fucking... I knew you would love this guy. I knew you would love this.
Your eyes are
yours are fucked. Alrighty, so this part of the segment, because obviously we've got the Olympics going on, it's gonna be called America's Allergic to Gold. And as you know, the Americans, they always come fucking every year to the Olympics and they take all the gold, but this is the first year we've actually had some sort of chance of not letting those pricks take the gold. So everything is anti-America today, which I'm very excited about. But, mate, to kick things off, I want you to read through basically the tally list, and I want you to point out what you can see here that is standing out to you the most, mate. So kick that off for us. So who we got from the bottom to the top?
So Germany Canada, Italy, USA, South Korea, Great Britain, Australia, Japan, France, and China.
Which is wild because the funny thing is the US, right, they have the most amount of medals, but they're in 7th place. And for some reason, the Olympic community just care about the gold stuff, which is great because that means that we're in 4th place and the US is in 7th, which is amazing.
There you go.
And a big shout out to our swimming team. The girls are absolutely crushing it. Like, mate, unbelievable. Like, I don't know if you saw last night, but it brings me to my next point. King Cole Chalmers wins gold, right?
Yeah.
In the 100 men's freestyle, but he lost to a Chinese bloke.
Yeah.
Who beat the world record by half a second.
Yeah.
Now
right.
I don't know if you know much about records and beating them by half a second, but to beat them by half a second in the pool, good. It's fucking heaps.
Yeah.
So he will be up for a TIS pest, no doubt. A TIS
pest. A TIS pest, mate.
A piss test,
mate. Fucking these goggles cutting off the oxygen.
Yeah. I can't fucking read. And then what about this one, mate? So what's going on here?
Jess Fox continues to rain shit on her competition. Hence poo in the river.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, what happened there?
So
expand.
So basically, the Seine River, I think that's what it's called over in France.
Oh yeah.
They were meant to host the triathlon, and they were going through the pool and whatnot. Not the pool, the river.
Oh wait,
but it was completely like disgusting. So they postponed the race because there was shit in the river, literally.
Yeah.
So they've spent like 1.5. It's either million or billion. It's a little bit of a difference, but
yeah.
They've spent a lot of money to clean it out. And they finally cleaned it out, and now it's off and running. So that's fantastic. So good on you, Jess Fox, mate. Like, I think she got a gold in the canoe and a gold in the kayak in the last 2 nights. In the kapoo. Fuck, my eyes are sore wearing this thing.
Bro, I know, my eyeballs.
Now, mate, the next one's a big one because, again, female Olympians killing it. Can you read out this next one for me?
Penny Smith wins bronze in the shooting women's trap. No sign of America in their own sport.
Yeah, you know.
There you go.
Like, that's completely right. You know, America didn't have these gun laws, not.
It's crazy.
And they're still not doing very well.
Mate,
moving on.
This podcast's getting cancelled in the
This is what the content, this is what the crowd wants. Zach Stubblety copped silver in the 200 men's breaststroke. Fantastic, because the other night he was coming 5th from the turn into the last 50.
Righto.
Still no sign of the Yanks on the podium, mate. So that's fantastic. So that brings us up to the date, really. So if you haven't been keeping up, tune into 9 Now on the Olympic channel or Stan if you can pay it. Yep. But, mate, that ends up that segment. Let's move on to some technique advice. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Did Mitch Brown write those fucking captions?
Nah, they're pretty close, but aren't they? I warned him. Man, fucking eyes. Yeah. I warned him about this and said, mate, you're going to piss yourself when you watch the episode this week because I'm fucking stitching up Benny Roberts. Yeah. Mate, you should have saw me. I was walking through Kmart,
mate,
giggling like a little girl.
I bet.
Mate,
I bet.
It was
should have done some behind the scenes filming.
All right. I should have. All right. You want to take it off? I knew you wanted to take it off.
Oh, thank God for that.
All right, let's get started. Now my hair looks all fucked.
I got some blood going on my fucking head.
Fuck, am I going bald? All right.
That's not new.
That's not new news, is it? No. All right, so we're being serious now, so we're getting into it. We want to say first, Benny, like when it comes to technique and whatnot, technique should not be your hill to die on when it comes to getting better and getting stronger. I think it's a very big component as a beginner, but once you've got your base down right, once you're moving safely, once you're not getting injured, and obviously you're moving forward in regards to loads each week, I don't think technique is the hill to die on as an athlete whatsoever. What do you reckon?
No, yeah, I agree. I think once you've got the big pillars and you're moving consistently, I think it's more about just strengthening a repeatable position and movement system. And, you know, once you're doing that, it's more about just executing consistently and finding a program that supplements that with adequate volume and intensity prescriptions.
Yep, for sure. No, I agree. So, with that being said, let's get into it. This is going to be good because obviously, you know, these guys are seeking some advice, and hopefully, you know, the viewers who are watching can either send something of their own in next time or learn something from the experience. But first up,
I fucking can't believe that just happened.
Really?
Yeah, mate, that's unreal. I feel like I'm in a fever dream right now, and like, you know,
you're gonna come in on every Thursday, and you're gonna be thinking, "Fuck, what's this cunt got in store for me today?"
Sorry, mate, I'm busy.
I'm cancelled.
All right, anyway, back to business.
All right, back to business. So this young fella, his name is Atif. He's 17 years old. He's a 74 kilo sub junior by the looks of it. But yeah, he's. I don't think he's yet to compete in the APA, but it says that he's in the APA. But Atif trains with a Z on Instagram if you want to check him out. But let's have a look, Benny. So we're looking at some bench press to begin with, and he's also sent in some sumo. So we'll have a look at that too. All right. Honestly, pretty good.
Yeah, not bad at all.
I don't really see much there jumping out at me, but let's just keep looking at the bench for a second. If anything, mate, you look skinny as hell, so I would put on some weight. I know you are 74 kilos, but you look tall, and I've just obviously had a glance at your sumo, but just by looking at seriously how long you are, not through just your arms, but like your legs as well, I would say hypertrophy would be the first thing to put in order because your technique is fine in my regard.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Benny?
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think the only thing that I can really see is it looks when he's trying to really apply some force into the bar, he gets a little bit wobbly from the chest as he shoves up, and obviously elbows shove towards his face, and he just looks a bit unstable in the hand.
Yeah.
There's like kind of just a bit of movement going on like through the wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Typically when I address that with my athletes, I always just start at the wrist because it's the thing that's actually interacting with the environment when you press. So just making sure that you have an extended wrist position so that it's not shaking or moving throughout the range, and just trying to apply as much outer hand pressure as you can into the bar. So just meaning that the outer portion of your hand here, which is the top end of the ulnar, is the base of support that you're pressing into the bar. That's just because that side of the forearm rotates less. So when you press into the bar, you should feel a bit more stable.
Yeah.
Easiest way to do this is just to relax the inner side of the hand and the fingers there. So the thumb, index, middle finger. Just get on the outside of the hand, press that in, gently wrap the rest around, and you should be good.
Yeah. No, all those things are really helpful. I think like starting from where the bar sits in the hand is really important for that, I guess, like stability where you're trying to push force into something that's meant to be still. The only thing I can see, like I already said, put on some weight. I don't think you belong in the 74s whatsoever, particularly the fact that you're 17 years old.
Yeah, and you look very long.
And you're long as hell.
I don't know how tall you are, like, because I don't have the stats, but you look like you could definitely fill out your frame a bit more. Yeah, and obviously being 17,
exactly
that makes
right.
sense.
Yeah, and the last thing I will say is, I don't know if you noticed this too, Benny, but when he goes to press, his body like kind of flattens out a little bit and his legs come towards each other.
Yeah.
And that tells me that there's not enough leg drive. And given how long you are, usually you're going to find that a positive shin angle is going to be better for your leg drive. So with the length of your limbs, you need to put your feet probably out another half a foot and push from that position. And you'll probably find that through relative knee extension, you're going to be able to get more quad involvement through your leg drive. Yep. And that's going to essentially allow you to push harder with your legs and keep it on. Because at the moment when you go to push, other than the thing that Benny's already mentioned, you can see that you kind of collapse through your ribs and your legs adduct, like your knees come towards each other slightly. Yeah. And that tells us that like you're losing some sort of engagement through your legs. So that's probably the second thing to work on top of what Benny already said. And I think, like we always spoke about and we both agreed on, just putting on more weight, mate. Like there's no point being at 74 if you're this young and you're this long, just bite the bullet, start putting on some muscle, and you'll find the more muscle you put on, the more you actually be able to lift. Yeah.
And I think as well, like with what Aiden just said with the whole leg drive, you'll probably find that you're not able to like max as much of an arch as you're kind of supporting right here. Yeah. This angle's pretty hard to see, but it looks like you're arching really heavily through like your lower / mid back. So when you're trying to drive through your legs in like a more further feet out position, it's going to reduce your ability to arch through that portion of the back, which in turn is kind of a good thing because you're going to be getting more of a true arch through the thoracic. Yeah. And it'll probably feel like you're moving the bar with more distance, but at the same time, you're probably going to get a better trade-off out of increasing ROM slightly with more leg drive and power rather than trying to reduce the range and not be as strong in your pressing.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to his deadlift. So he sent through his sumo deadlift as well. Let's have a little look at it. Now, I enjoy... Oh, no, it's not a sumo. It's a conventional. But he walked towards the bar like it was a sumo. But yeah...
Predicting the future, mate.
But yeah, you're long as hell, man. Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
He likes that.
He likes that. That was a nice little PR there.
Yeah. Alrighty. So the first thing I can see, there's a bit of delayed knee extension going on. So here, when you're at this point here, you go to lock your knees and then you get your center of mass behind the bar. And the way that I can see that is because if you look at your shoulders, right, they're over the bar here. But as soon as you pass the knee, you pull your shoulders behind the bar. And then in turn, that's pushing you onto your heel, which means you're driving more hip extension forward from that moment. And that means that because you're trying to drive hip extension instead of knee extension, you're going to most likely ramp. Excuse me. Now, I don't know if you fail much towards the top, but this is usually what indicates how you would fail if you were to have a top end load, where you're trying to lock it out because your knees are soft still and you're just kind of like riding the thighs on the way up to lock out. So I personally, Benny, would say he probably needs to be more over the bar for a little bit longer, exhaust that knee extension and making sure that he's not trying to rush his lockout through hip extension. And then you'll find that when you get towards those like 95 to 105% loads, you'll be able to obviously grind it out in more of a competition standard manner. Because, they're just rushing hip extension. What do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I'd say like how to implement that would just be not trying to rush to the lockout once you get to the knees and just trying to just stand up straight instead of over accentuating that like lean at the top. You can see like when you lean back, your shoulders are like almost hitting the hammer strength rack behind you, mate. You know, they're far back. You don't need to go that far.
No, you don't need to. And that's just called what we call compensation. So you're just compensating your lockout by going that far back because you were so far forward, but it's a trap. You got to try and stay forward for that little bit longer and you will find you won't have to go that far back.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll just emphasize your push, which is the second thing I'd probably get into there, is just making sure that you're keeping heavy feet and pushing the floor away opposed to like pulling the barbell in that top range. That would probably be my advice.
Yep. Last thing I'll touch on for you, Adolf, is just with your being so long and so tall, you probably want to make sure that you are training your lumbar and everything appropriately because there's going to be a large demand on that region of your back. So being so high through the hips, and we haven't touched on starting position because your starting position is really, really good.
Yeah.
Like I would say that don't change anything in regards to your starting position. But what we will say is that if you're going to be, committing to this sort of starting position, it is important that you make sure that you aren't obviously lacking that lower back extensions, the RDLs, making sure that you're actually training your lower back appropriately so you can maintain this position for a very long period of your lifting life. All right, move on.
Yeah, move on. That's good.
Cool. All right, next up.
Big dog.
Big dog. Benny Newen. Long story short, for the listeners who don't know, I used to coach Benny a long time ago. He's, I think, a committed bench-only athlete now, isn't he?
I actually don't know. I think he has made the switch, to be honest. He's very, very involved. He's actually, shout out to him, he's doing a bench-only meet at All In Barbell. Yeah. Trying to like grow that side of the sport in Australia, which is really cool. Yep. He actually hit me up yesterday.
Did he?
He was wanting to invite me, but it's too close to my 3 lift, so won't be able to do it. But
how many weeks apart?
2.
Yeah, it's too tight.
Yeah, just too tight. And then I got bench nats like a month after that. So we'll see. But
cool.
Yeah, no.
It's good to see someone obviously not even reviving because it's never really been a big thing in Australia.
Yeah, no, just trying to like put life into it, I suppose. Yeah, it's good.
All right, let's have a look. So I think this is 200, he said.
Mate.
What sorry, we'll go back.
What am I going to say there, Ben?
Yeah, what are we saying here? No, that's fine. A big thing with Ben many, many moons ago that he used to do was like roll the bar and the plates in his hand, but he looks like he's fixed that since then, and it looks really strong.
No, yeah, it does look really strong.
Elbow depth is fine.
Yeah, I think that's good, personally.
Part of being so big is that like the top of the shoulder is
actually like far away. Yeah,
nearly
like
where your fucking chest is, mate.
Yeah. No, it's really good.
I think the only thing that I would say, like, if you are a bench-only athlete, you're probably going to find that, like, you need to train a lot of those things when it comes to not getting too extended through your rib cage.
Yeah.
So otherwise you find that, like, you simply become very distant from the 3 lift part of your career. Yeah. If that's what you want to try and obviously go down that path towards.
Yep.
But if you're just going to be a bench-only athlete, then yeah, sure, like get a fucking big rib cage. But there are considerations with injuries and stuff getting too like specifically orientated in one position. So I think I actually remember speaking to him like maybe a couple months ago. He sent me through a video of him doing sumo, which was funny as fuck.
Yeah.
And he was like, how's my movement variability today? Because he just has to do deadlifts to just get his ribs back, which is funny as fuck.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's literally like you just get in this position where you're so like, you're so expanded through the front, extended through the front that you just need to do something to move the other way. And it's good.
Oh, cool. All right. Moving on. Next up we have is... Okay, this guy. I got him on Instagram real quick. I think it's Christian Mantilla. That's how you say his name. Bit of sumo deadlift action. Let's have a look.
All right.
Oh, good. Okay, I was going to say, a set will tell us a lot because it begins to break down as he starts to get more and more tired. Now, the thing I love what Christian's doing is that he's resetting every single rep. Like, he's actually letting go of the bar, getting himself in the right position, and then going. Because what we see, generally speaking, with a lot of people is if they are trying to obviously, like, bang out a set, they'll keep their hands on the bar and then go bang, 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 bang. Like, just get the reps out, you know what I mean? But for Christian here, mate, you're doing a really good job of just making sure that you are getting into a position where it is replicable across every single rep. Okay. Now, I would say at first glance, technique is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I would just say his foot pressure. Yeah. His foot pressure is just the only thing that's holding him back, because the foot pressure, it's really important to understand that, like, when you're so wide in the sumo deadlift, you can go either way. You can be too far out on the outside of your foot, or you can be too far on the inside of your foot. And in Christian's case, he's too far on the outside of his foot. And you can tell because, like, fucking look at the size of the amount of force that's going through the outside of his left foot here.
He's supinated as fuck.
Supinated as fuck. The arch is hitting the roof. So essentially, Christian, what we would suggest is that if you're going to be sumo deadlifting and you're wanting to try and increase that deadlift and make it feel like it's lighter, by getting more midfoot and pronation through your foot, so the flattening of your arch, you will find you'll be able to push more force into the floor, because if you pronate your foot and flatten your foot, there's going to be a number of other mechanics that will happen up the chain that will allow you to create more force, which involves pronation of the shin, internal rotation of the femur. You're going to get shortening of your adductors. You're also going to get shortening of your hamstring and also quads as well through knee extension. Yep. So there's going to be a massive amount of force production. And when you get that internal rotation happening at the femur, because you are pronating through the foot as well, it's going to stiffen your pelvis, okay? Yep. And it's going to actually help you hold your wedge as well, which in turn will keep your back stiff. So there's heaps of shit that pronation does for you. Yep. And I would say that's probably the only thing you need to work on. Is there anything else that you can see there?
Yeah, no, I would just say doubling down on that is just making sure you're applying heaps of big toe pressure, because it kind of looks like you're missing out on the ability to push with your quads here. That's one of the biggest things that I can see. Yep. Just looks like you're really far back, and it's very like hamstring, glute dominant, like in your pull, and probably lower back as well. So without any context, I'd say, obviously just pronating as hard as you can, which just means getting the inner side of your foot flat on the floor as you can and pressing that into the ground. And then doubling down, trying to get your big toe down heavily. Will just kind of correct your center of mass a little bit, pushing you a tiny bit forward so that you can actually utilize your quads to get stronger knee extension, as Aiden was alluding to just before.
Yeah, and you might need to find that, like, you might need to stand further away from the bar because if you pronate, you're going to get more forward knee travel, which is fine.
Yep.
The only other consideration is and this is just for general advice for anyone who's watching this and looking at Christian's deadlift, if you're on the outside of your feet, right, and you're pushing through that position there, you'll find that you'll get caught behind the bar really far. And generally speaking, if you watch a good sumo deadlifter, it's slow off the floor, fast towards lockout, okay? Because generally speaking, like, they're going to have more of a vertical shin angle than someone who is doing conventional, right? But the thing is because this is kind of like the opposite, it slows down towards lockout, which tells me that, like, he's finding it really hard to use hip extension because he has already used it to move the bar off the floor. So in saying that, if he gets further away from the bar a bit more, gets a little bit more pronation, big toe pressure, as Benny was saying, you'll find you'll be able to get more leg involvement to move the bar off the floor to then leverage and open the gate for hip extension to burst on through.
Yep.
And then therefore that will be able to, improve the deadlift and make it look more like a traditional slow off the floor, fast towards lockout type sumo deadlift. Does that cover it for you there?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's it. That's all. Yep.
All right, let's move on, mate. Here we go. Eric from the States. I think on Instagram his name is Eric. Where is he? Eric Guwao. I'm pretty sure predominantly he's an equipped lifter actually.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
This will be interesting then.
Yeah, Eric. Oh fuck, mate. I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong. Guao, 74 kilo. Let's have a look. So this is his bench press. He's sent through his squat, bench, and deadlift. So we've got our hands full.
Excellent.
Right. Okay.
Run it back.
Yeah, I am. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's kind of like rolling into extension as he unwraps.
Yeah. Okay. Classic case of unracking the bar from a position where like the bar doesn't want to be, because when you unrack it, the bar is rolling into a position where it's trying to tell you, "Fuck, put me here, mate." You know, and because it's rolling so much, you're not in a position to support that, and that's why it looks like it moves like a brick off your chest.
Yep.
Because as you come down, your elbow's in a position like where you think the bar is based on where you put your hands to unrack it. But really, it's back here.
Yep.
And then because you're so far in front of the bar, you've got no leverage to push into the bar, and that's why it moves like that.
Yep.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely would agree. It's just like one of those typical scenarios where it's like everything is starting at the hands or like the point of interaction with the bar. And if you're going to allow like so much drastic movement during like the unrack or handout phase, it's basically going to happen down the chain. So you're starting in a position and then being forced into a different position. And therefore, even if the second position is better for you, you're not necessarily leveraging it in the right sense to get the most out of your press. So yeah, just I'd say the biggest key there would just be making sure that your wrist is actually extended from the jump.
Yep.
So when you kind of like wedge into the bar and put a bit of force into the bar with your hands before fully unracking it, just make sure that your wrist is kind of cocked back into that extended position.
So right here.
Yeah.
That's where you want to be.
That's good. And you'll find as well that like your elbows and shoulders can get into a better position just by your wrist being in that position from the start. That's just because they interact on like a pretty cohesive level. So they kind of just mimic each other.
Yeah. I would say like your touch point position, ribs aren't dropping. Everything looks like really, really good. I don't think there's anything else you need to really change, but that's the thing that's glaring at me.
Yeah.
Now, when we think about wrists as well, like just to add to what Benny just said, the main thing is that like there's so many things that can impact wrist extension. And to allude on how Benny was saying, when you slide into the rack and you're pushing into the bar to kind of like solidify what that position looks like, just be considerate of like where your wrap is, because sometimes you can wear your wraps too low and then the back of your hand sits on the wrap. And that's a method for people who have like a comfortable position of putting the bar back further. But if you find that like it's too far, then just wear your wrap a little higher, it will straighten you up a little bit, and then it'll be in that comfortable position that you're always in. So just to think a step forward, because if you're going to be unracking in a position where the wrist is where it wants to be, you just got to be mindful that you can support the position that you're trying to achieve with where you place the wrap on your wrist.
Yeah, I'd find like the easiest way to like really find that position as for the wrap, just experiment with it higher or lower. And when you cock your wrist back into full extension and press on it with your other hand, if you can feel the wrap really supporting that position and it's not going anywhere, that's where you want it. And I think the other thing to note is that with your more extended wrist position that you'll hopefully be able to implement, you should be able to wedge more into the bar, which will allow you to leverage onto the back of your neck or the back of your head a bit more, which will be really beneficial for you to have that as your base of support for your press. So basically just like tucking the chin down, trying to get the neck as flat as you can, and using both your leg drive and your contact with the bar as basically like two ends of which you can push into the back of your neck. That's going to help heaps.
Cool. Yeah, I hope that helps, mate. All right, moving on to the deadlift now. All right, are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Just let it play out. Yeah.
All right.
Go
So first thing I would fix is stop fucking around with the bar at the
Yeah.
start.
No fluffing around at the bottom.
Don't fluff around at the
Yeah.
bottom. I see it so often. If you're fluffing around at the bottom and you're playing with the bar, not only are you rubbing chalk off your hands to therefore create more friction for the bar to slip when you get towards lockout, but the other thing as well is that like if you're putting pressure through that shaft and you're playing with it, you are like to a degree moving the bar around on the floor. And that's something that like can really fuck you up if you're in like a commercial setting like this where, you're deadlifting on timber, but the plates are on rubber and there are divots, or like there are divots in a normal gym. Like the bar can roll in and out of the divot, which can really, really like affect your starting position.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say is if you're spending a lot of time in that bottom position, like playing with your slack pull and your grip, not only is the bar going to be moving around, but in my experience, you're going to be losing a lot of rigidity in your trunk, which is going to cause you to basically get even more like flex than you really want to. And that's going to affect your ability to like leverage force into the floor.
Yeah.
Because like flexion isn't a bad thing by any means. You just want to make sure that your trunk is still quite like rigid with a good brace. And if you're really playing around down the bottom, it's hard to set the brace when you're like leaning over the bar.
Yeah.
So definitely.
And there's another thing to argue as well with like the short lengthening cycle. So like we know that there's a particular response where like if you shorten the muscle after it's been lengthened, there's going to be a stronger contraction. So when you're again spending too much time down the bottom here playing with the bar, and if you can look over here, like you can see that like the plates are moving. I think on this last tug, it moves around a little bit just there.
Forward, yeah.
You just got to be careful that like if you're down the bottom and you're in a really lengthened position, it's not going to have that sort of like benefit of the shortening cycle. So if you look at any big deadlifter, particularly in your weight class, they're going to be like ripping in the lengthening and shortening cycle fast, and they're not spending much time down the bottom. So I would look at like just setting and going.
But from this pause screen, the starting position when you're about to break the floor looks great. Like, so I just want to see this play out. But
yep. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It is pretty good. It doesn't look like you're on the outside of your feet. It looks like you're pushing on the inside of your feet, which is nice.
Yeah. Consistent push throughout the whole range of motion as well.
Yep. Maybe if anything, overextending and softening your knee a little bit, lockout.
Yep.
But I would just say, man, like if you want to get more pop off the floor and get more, I guess, like leg involvement through that bottom position, you're going to find that, using, I guess, that like grab and go sort of style of technique is going to be more suited for you.
Literally, it's like you're firing a gun, not winding up fucking,
Bow and arrow.
Bow and arrow, yeah.
Fucking oath.
That's good. But yeah, what's that? What's the thing you always love talking about? PDP?
Post-action potentiation.
Yeah,
PAP. Yeah. So
it's basically like stop fucking around and get into it.
Yeah.
But just put into science. So I'll let you go.
Yeah. No, like, just Google what PAP is. But essentially, when you do something and your body's like, fuck, I'm doing it, it will just like create more synapses to try harder. Not more, like it will intensify it.
Yeah.
So yeah, look into PAP. Like there's tons of studies around PAP, but I would just say, if you're going to be more like, I guess like intentful and like sympathetically driven through your starting position with the sumo deadlift, you'll find you'll get more fucking energy and pop off the floor.
Yeah. And not to mention like you can like there is just something to do with your mental engagement when you get stuck into a rep and just do it.
Rather than thinking about it.
If you're at the bottom position, like it gives your brain too many opportunities to think about what's going to happen once you start applying force into the bar.
Yeah.
And ultimately more likelihood of you missing. So yeah.
Alrighty. Squats now. Fucking ripping into it. Look at him.
Into the ammonia. Into the nose bleach. Right, here we go.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's great squatting. I'm not going to lie.
like if I'm fucking pulling hairs out, mate, I'm gonna say like probably could do with maybe a stance, probably tiny bit closer.
Yep.
Because it's quite hard. I can see that it's quite hard for you to leverage that, I guess, compressive force through the bottom, meaning like closing off your pelvis to adduct your femurs, to internally rotate, shorten your adductors, like getting all those knee extending tissues, hip extending tissues to actually fully shorten. Not fully shorten, but shorten so you can fucking squat a lot of weight. I think a closer stance, tiny bit, maybe half of what the width of your foot is in more, you'll find you'll be able to get more use out of your legs. That's all I can really see.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. Yeah. One thing, like, honestly, this would be totally dependent on how the bar feels on your back from the unrack, but I find with a lot of my lifters that getting your hips underneath the bar to stand it straight up is a little bit more beneficial in the unrack. It looks like when you get under it, you're pushing knee and hip extension to leverage it up at the same time. So if you can get your hips more underneath the bar and just stand it straight up, that might help a little bit, and might reduce any potential bar roll that you get as you're walking the bar out of the rack. But outside of that, looks really good, man.
Yeah, I agree. No, good. Well done, Eric. All right, move on to the next one. We have
the big boy.
Big Lois Pohill from Titan Performance.
Fucking Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate.
270.
Okay. What is this? Is this 220? 225?
225, yeah.
Let's have a bow peak. Fucking holy dooly. Is there another one?
Strong lower back. Holy fuck.
Let's go. Oh no, that was it. I thought he like nodded his head like, yeah, fucking one more.
Yeah, I got one more. That's active.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to have one more look. Yeah, all right.
Just looks like you're getting shoved back like an absolute motherfucker. Like,
and the easiest way to see that, mate, is fucking shin angles.
Yeah.
So if we ever look at your shin, right, when you come out of the hole here, like, go back a little bit more. Fuck me, mate. Why is it doing that? There it is. All right, so this is your first rep, which was probably the best rep, right?
Yeah.
And you can see here that, like, your shin angle is almost vertical. And then if you look at the second rep, like, that's almost pretty much straight.
Yeah.
Which was harder, right?
Yeah.
And all you're doing, mate, is that, like, you're struggling to hold delayed knee extension. That's simply all it is. You're just extending your knees too far off the floor. And arguably, it's probably because, like, you're so long and tall and long through the legs that, like, it's really hard for you to hold that position and to stay on your legs the entire time. So things that can help with that, delayed knee extension belt squats are really, 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 really good for people like you. So essentially, like, you're just on the belt squat and you've got a soft knee, like, force the soft knee to happen. And you'll probably find, actually, because I don't know if you've seen him doing conventional deadlift, but, like, the way that you deadlift is actually really good because you get a lot of knee extension off the floor. Like, your knees fucking love to extend.
Yep.
And that's probably why, like, there's a massive discrepancy between, like, what your top end squat is and what your top end deadlift is as well. Just because you're so good at getting your knees back off the floor. And that's obviously a crucial component of getting the bar like up past your knee in a conventional style deadlift.
Yep.
So yeah, delayed knee extensions, Bulgarians, like, maybe, but you can't stimulate them enough because you can't load them very heavy. But the whole point of the Bulgarian is that you get to stay, like, forward in, like, a closer stance style Bulgarian, and that can, like, really, I guess, challenge those muscles through an extended range of motion. Is there anything else that you can think of?
Not really. I think the belt squat is probably the best, like, thing that you can implement here. Outside of that, like, just, like, really heavy, like, forward knee travel pendulum squats, and then maybe even some high bar just to be like absolutely smashing that knees forward type of emphasis. I'd say as well, just like doubling down with a lot of the foot pressure we've been talking about. Like, you know, it's very similar across, like, deadlifting and squatting when you're trying to get more forward, which is basically getting knees forward and keeping them there, just keeping big toe down as hard as you can and just making sure that you're emphasizing that forefoot pressure, while still being able to maintain balance under the bar. Obviously that's the key factor, so a bit of play around there.
There's another option. So I reckon high bar is fantastic for you. Paused high bar. high bar with heels even. But the problem is with high bar with heels, it can go either way. You can really fuck it up because the heel, right, is the highest point at which gravity is imposed upon. You're automatically going to want to center your mass on your heel just simply because of the mechanical change.
Yep.
But the whole point of you wearing a heel, Lewis, is that the ramp pushes you forward onto your forefoot, and you really, really need to like be almost squatting on your toes.
Yep.
And that in turn is going to force your shin angle to stay like forward and over the bar, and you'll feel your fucking quads heaps. And I think this will allude to if you are going to train more delayed knee extension, like your knees are going to cop it. So it's really important that like you're traveling through a full range of motion, doing your leg extensions, like you're doing a lot of, I guess, like restorative work through like IR and flexion as well. Because the main thing is that you don't want to try and hammer delayed knee extension because you can get sore knees really, really fast. Because you do need to build a squattier squat. And that's what generally happens if you haven't done a squattier squat in a while, or you're trying to learn it. It can take a toll on the tissues.
Few Spaniards wouldn't go amiss.
Spaniards,
yeah, a couple Spaniards. So
Spaniards
Spanish squats, like just something like I find with a lot of people, especially when you're like, I don't know, trying not to overthink what's going on. Just doing like some corrective exercise before you squat, just like that can be a really good way to stimulate that like movement pattern, I suppose, and just getting more quad involvement. And like Aiden said as well, if you chuck a foam roller in between your legs, you're going to lean more into that like adduction IR style of squatting as well when you're trying to get your knees forward. And if you can really nail that whole heel elevation thing that Aiden was just talking about, you can put a wedge under your heel for those as well. So that would be pretty ideal. But
the corrective stuff, like where I'm a bit 50-50 on, especially with how strong you are already.
That is the only thing.
Because
it's like fucking holding a like 20 kilo dumbbell in front of you is a bit different to 225 on your back.
Exactly.
So you might need some heavier stimulus. So high bar could be a good alternative.
Yeah. But hope that helps, mate. Like obviously you deserve to squat more. I just think as soon as you sort out the delayed knee extension, keeping your legs under your body and not letting the fucking thing fold you, I think you'll find that it'll be much easier. Alrighty. Shaz. Now, Shaz has given me some context because she is just recently coming back from an injury, and it's important that we just highlight like what the injury is before we actually get stuck into Shaz. All right, so the main concern with the sumo is the back of the hips, the glutes. They can't close off when they need to. This is only needed in wide stance positions, which is why the squat is usually not a trigger. And extreme extension of the back, which is why it sometimes hurts the arch. Okay, so essentially, the glutes can't close off when they need to. Okay. So to fix this, she's been doing as a warm up cable hip flexor marches, something that you've done before in the past, and then sumo banded holds. Okay, so that's what she's been doing as like a warm up, and she's currently, it looks like she's gone back to doing sumo and comp squat once a week, and that was back in the 8th of January. Okay. So it's been 7 months, and she's obviously struggling a little bit. But considering that, where the glutes obviously aren't doing enough for her, tells me that she's not getting enough like ER and abduction in her sumo starting position to shorten the glute, or the glutes aren't shortening to make those actions happen.
Yes.
So as long as you've been doing those warm-ups, there should be obviously some like firing in the system to get things going. But let's have a look, Benny, and see if we can actually see anything that can help her. Okay, that's her most recent one, that one we just saw then.
Yep.
This one here, which is actually the best one out of all of them. So she sent me these other angles to look at because this was like, I think this was like around the injury or at the start. But the biggest difference I can see is that like when she's wedging in, she's actually pulling herself so far back behind the bar that you could tell, she's loading a lot of her back right here.
Yep.
Like her arms are getting perpendicular to the floor, but like the hips are almost like trying to extend before the bar even comes off the floor.
Yep. And
the bar's coming off the floor, right, as a result of hip extension. Okay, her knees are barely moving there. Yep. It's just her hips and the bar's moving.
Yep.
So in first glance, you are using your back and your hips to extend to move the bar off the floor. So the biggest thing that you need to do is learn how to use your legs off the floor.
Yep.
So if we go to this latest video here, Benny, that's already so much better.
Heaps better.
So much better.
So I think the biggest like difference that I can see is like you see this with a lot of people who run into issues with their lower back is when they initially wedge like that first video, and it's almost like their hips are like dropping down towards the bar. It's like it kind of moves in a clockwise kind of motion here. It's like they're kind of like it's like moving in like a round kind of direction. Whereas in the next video, it's like more forward toward the bar.
And you see this with people who have longer limbs, right? Like longer legs. If you've got long legs, you tend to like struggle to actually like bend them because like the moment for bending them to extend them is a lot larger. So your body thinks, okay, the easiest way for me to pick this up is to just absolutely raw dog it and keep my hips really high. And then that's where like you load a lot of these tissues you don't want to load, and it sounds like it is flaring you up. But like honestly, Shaz, like this video here that you sent through is so much better because as Benny and I were saying, when you're wedging into the starting position, you are fixing yourself into a wedge, and I can see that the thing that is moving the bar off the floor is your knee extension moving back. Like your knees start to move before your hips there, and the bar is moving off the floor, and that's exactly what you want. Okay, so one thing that we love here at HPC is the 3 count to the knee.
Oh, fucking love it.
Like they're like that's really, really good. Pauses are okay if you can actually like pause on your legs during that split second. But
I feel like sometimes they just feed into the issue if you can't do them the right way. And it's so hard to see. Like most of the time it's like you need context from the athlete to be like, okay, yeah, this looks good, but are you actually feeling your legs push the floor away? But yeah, with the 3 count, there's not really anywhere to hide. And it doesn't even have to be 3, just tempo. Just making sure that you're biasing a heap of push. Using similar foot pressure strategies.
Slack pull deadlift's another one.
Slack pull really good.
But
just making sure that you're kind of like trying to push slack from the bar instead of just like getting it out with your hips through the pull.
But yeah, like marginally better, like this latest one. So that's our best advice. Positionally, like you're really good, and like clearly you have the muscle for it. I'm pretty sure she's deadlifted like 165 or 160 before. Or something.
I'd say around that, from memory. I'm not too familiar.
So like, you're not weak.
Something big,
So I would just say like fix the movement. You know, we spoke on last week's episode about muscle position movement. And movement's one of the things that we really fixate on here for people who need to get better at obviously like powerlifting. And if you want to keep improving your sumo, focus on your knee extension off the floor and with the same wedge that you currently have. Cool. Here we go. Tristan Sunday.
The big dog.
So
let's go.
Here we go. He's got his SBD from I think his last or final block before peaking into Worlds.
Oh, sick.
So, mate, first and foremost, if you're fucking 4 or 5 weeks out from Worlds, you're not changing much. Right?
No.
Just keep lifting the same.
Yeah, literally. Please don't listen to this episode until after you come back. Right?
Exactly right. Yeah, like just take all this with a grain of salt. We don't expect you to change anything. We don't actually want you to change anything because you already got a coach, mate. But like,
that's a good point for anyone who has a coach and we're breaking down technique or anything. If any of this like contradicts what your coach is saying and they have like a really valid reason as to why, then obviously listen to them. 100%. You know what I mean?
You're paying them, not us. We're doing this for free. Because we fucking love it, mate.
Yes, you know.
Yeah, we love it. That's why we wear goggles. All right. So Tristan's bench. What's his 180? Ooh.
Fuck. Heave.
That's a big heave, yeah. Yeah, okay. Look, mate, undeniably strong.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that make it heavier than what it needs to be. And a lot of it is just basically the slight sink because it changes your position of where you are through like your upper back. Like you can see as you come down, like your ribs collapse, your shoulders elevate, your elbows get behind the bar, and then you just simply just monkey it up. Like you just push it.
You just have that raw power to force it up.
Yeah. And then like you can also see here that like as he's bringing the bar down, the bar actually moves in his hand. You can notice that because the lettering of the Alico on the plate, it spins. So it will spin forward actually. So he's going towards the front of his hand. And then once he's in that position there, he just fucking pushes into it. So there's a bunch of shit that you can work on. But like to simplify and break it down, we'll just go one each. Right? I pick the hand.
All right.
Similar to, because similar to who was the example we were talking about the hands at the start?
It's like the first bench that we looked at, no?
Not Adif. It was the other guy.
Oh yeah,
Eric.
Eric from the States.
Yeah,
from the States.
Eric, he was unracking with a wrist extension that
He was like
was flexed and then extending. You're the opposite, mate. You're unracking an extension, then you're kind of like pushing it forward. So you'll probably find with your style of bench, if you actually grab the bar harder with like your pinky, ring finger, and some more middle finger, by simply like making a grip, you're going to find that you're going to straighten your wrist more and lean into the style of pressing that your body's trying to tell you. Because as you're coming down, the bar's rolling to that position, and then it wants you to be here, and then you're pushing from directly underneath it, which is, in my opinion, your strongest push. So cut the middleman out, just be in that straight-o wrist position, and from the unrack, and then you'll find you'll be able to actually like keep everything under the bar and not have that deviation of the bar moving from back to front in your hand.
Yeah, and just making sure it sits at the base, like, you know what I mean? I can't really see from here, but it could be closer to like your knuckles than actually the bony part at the bottom. Yeah. So just making sure it's closer to there so it doesn't roll down.
I would say his rep work would be fucking pretty hard.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
Man, like your rep work would feel like really heavy.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like maybe like doubles or triples at like around this weight. Like it would be fucking hard.
Yeah.
Can you see anything else, mate?
Well, just like you alluded to with the bit of a sink here. So it's kind of like there's nothing wrong with sink pressing if it's something that you want to explore with. But I think the main thing is just making sure that you're holding position in the upper back, shoulders, and legs when you do so. So it looks like here you just kind of drop off with some leg drive when you get to the chest, and then like you can see how much it turns on when you try to press the bar. So just make sure that like on the way down you still have a significant amount of leg drive pushing into the floor, and while you're pausing as well. That's going to probably allow you to float the bar a little bit better if that's the option you want to run with. And then if you do want to proceed with the sink, it's just going to allow you to support position at the shoulder as well. Yeah.
Just pick one or the other, mate. You're going to sink or you're going to soft touch, you know? But that's something you're probably going to be working on after Worlds, which is 100%. Exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Send his deadlift as well, mate.
Here we go.
Yeah. All right.
That's pretty good, man.
It is good.
That's like a good Connie. Second rep.
Yeah.
A bit.
So I would say it's because of where the bar is landing.
Yeah.
So if you watch where the bar's landing, this is so important as well. Like so many people they unnecessarily change their technique, but they don't actually look at where the bar is landing between each rep. So if you watch Tristan here, after his first rep, and he puts the bar down, his right hand side, the bar like rolls out away from him.
Yeah.
Puts it down, and then the bar like starts rolling towards the camera.
Yep.
And it twists, and then that just kind of like makes him push from a position where the bar's too far away from him.
Yeah, and he has to crank it back into like that straight position, which takes a lot.
The one thing I fucking love about you, Tristan, mate, on the second rep is you kept your head up.
Beautiful.
So if you look at the first rep here, your starting position, your head's down, and your center of mass is forward, and then when you flick your head up, that's when you like hit your power band. But you can hit your power band earlier off the floor, and I think that's when you realize, fuck, I'm really far away from the bar here. I need to kick things back. So you push your head back.
Yep.
Okay. But generally speaking, when we use our head, it kind of works counterpartly with our, not counterpartly, like in part with our lower back in regards to how the cervical and the lumbar are centering our mass between the thoracic and the sacrum. Yep. And if you're extending your lumbar, you can also extend your, extending your cervical, you can also extend your lumbar like in sync almost.
Yep.
And it's not scientifically fucking proven, but like personally in our own experience, when we push our head back, we can also like, create more center of mass to push back at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's a lot of weight, especially in the size of your head, mate.
Yeah, that's it, eh? Yeah, you're throwing your head back, that's like 5 kilos pushing you behind the bar.
Yeah.
Whereas like if it's up from the start, you're going to find that you can stay over it more and just leverage more push.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Like, yeah, it's just going to make you stiffer, mate, if you just keep your head up the entire time. But like as for knee hip extension, it's really fucking good.
Yeah, looking really strong.
I would just, if you're going to be continuing doing rep work that heavy into Worlds, just be mindful of where the bar's landing. Yep. Tell Jacob to buy some new deadlift platforms, mate.
Or a cheeky little reset will go a long way there, to be honest.
A cheeky little reset. Now, he did send his squat video through. I'm trying to see if we have it because I'm pretty sure. Yeah, here it is.
Here we go.
Here we go, big man.
The Oz suit. Run that. It's fucking strong squat, mate.
That's fucking good. much we can say there, is there?
Nah, not at all.
Born
to squat.
He needs to give us some tips.
Yeah. What are you doing there, mate?
I will say, like, this with the way that you squat, you're so upright, it's fucking hard to keep your balance. And I would say, like, just knowing Tristan, like, I think it was WA States last year, he did have some issues where he couldn't take what he could on his third because his second was hard based on a balance issue, and he smoked his third.
Okay.
So when you are squatting like this in like this kind of like higher looking bar position, and usually a lot of big boys squat like this.
Yeah, for sure. Like, 100%. I was only talking about this today. Like, too many people get caught up in the emphasis of like the low in a low bar squat. Like, it doesn't have to be that far down your back. It's just where it's comfortable and strong.
Yep. But like, I can see like how you would get spat out and lose some balance.
Yeah.
Because like, when the bar gets heavier, your body's going to want to fucking bend over more, obviously. Yep. So I think there's a lot to say when it comes to, you know, improving your balance is not ignoring the things that can actually keep you under the bar, like your obliques, like your abs, your 45s are going to help you obviously there as well. Your breath cycle and understanding how to like create a better brace under the bar. So not being so airy through your unrack and walkout, like keeping things tight and rigid under the bar. I think a lot of those things will help like indefinitely. And it already looks like you're taking a short, sharp breath and you push your head back, which is really good.
Really good.
But yeah, like you can only push your head so far back to have so much weight on your back for it to win. You know what I mean? Like gravity's always going to want to try and beat you.
Yeah. And like what Aiden was saying is like you are so upright. So when you get down to that bottom position, you can almost see the bar forces you here into more of a hinge. So if you could like naturally create that on the way down, it would probably stop you from getting so like pushed around by the bar in that bottom position. So yeah, just leaning into a little bit more of a hinge.
I wouldn't change it in the world's, but fuck no.
Oh, fuck no. Like you're strong as, man. These are like, this is cherry picking. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, at the same time, like, you know, you could trial that and it could just absolutely go to shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then you just be back to where you are.
Because like you're gonna be battling the issue of like over hinging or fucking just not hinging enough, and that's just how it is.
But as it is, man, it looks great to be honest. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's everyone.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So thank you, everyone. That's 57 minutes, mate, on the dot, and we said we'll have an hour.
Beautiful.
So
that's good.
That times it really well. But yeah, on behalf of like Benny and I, we'd just like to say thank you, everyone, for handing in your videos. Hopefully this gravitates some more interest, people to send in their stuff, because like we love talking about technique, mate. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Technique was such a big part of our lives as an early stage coach, to the point where it's like we can coach anyone that walks through the doors at HPC. Yeah. So we're happy to help out and give out some advice, because we genuinely believe that like technique, you know, like it's not the hill to die on when it comes to being a good coach. We think it should be readily available for anyone to use, because we just want to see people not hurt themselves, and obviously we want to see everyone to make PRs.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, until next time, we'll see you guys next week. Benny, mate, always a pleasure, never a chore. You know. I promise to not surprise you next week.
Yeah, that's it. I'll be coming in with some I'll get I don't know.
You'll get me back.
I'll get a latex dummy and be like, you got to put this on your head, mate.
I'll happily wear it.
Yeah, nice.
You're the issue.
Nah.
All right, see you guys.